Mayor Pro Tem is given the nod to call this meeting to order. And today is Tuesday, January 7th, 2025. And again, Happy New Year. Good evening again, honorable city council members, Mayor McCrate, to our city attorney, chief of staff, and those of you who are in the audience, and to our deputy clerk. And welcome to the City of Romulus City Council Special Meeting Study Session. And the purpose of this meeting is to discuss a process to fill a vacancy on the city council that is most beneficial to the residents. And at this time, we will have roll call. Councilwoman Abdo.
Here.
Councilman Barden.
Here.
Councilman Kraut.
Here.
Councilwoman Roscoe.
Here.
Councilwoman Talley.
Here.
And Councilman Wadsworth.
Here.
Mr. Chair, we have a quorum.
Thank you.
Members of the audience that wish to participate in this meeting may do so under the public comment portion of the agenda. You are welcome to submit a request to speak card, which is located in the back, and then hand it to the deputy clerk. Otherwise, you can raise your hand, and after being acknowledged by the chairperson, approach the podium. You will have 3 minutes to speak. And at this time, we will read the agenda, which is as follows. Number 1, roll call. Number 2, agenda. 3, discussion, council vacancy procedure. 4, action to establish a procedure to fill a vacancy on council. 5, public comment. And number 6, adjournment. And a motion would be in order to accept tonight's special meeting agenda as presented.
So moved to accept the special meeting study session agenda as presented.
Support.
It's been motioned by Ms. Talley, supported by Ms. Abdo, to accept the study session agenda as presented. Ms. Talley?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Mr. Kraut?
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, that motion is approved.
Thank you. Number 3 is discussion. And Mr. Chair and Council, before we go into the discussion, I would like to lead it off, and I have a statement that I would like to read before we get involved here. And this is to correct some misinformation that circulated on Facebook. And I just want to make this statement just so that we can dissolve that misinformation. First, it is important to emphasize that this is a special meeting open to the public. The proper public notice was published in compliance with the Open Meeting Act. Second, the goal of this meeting is for the council to discuss a transparent process and method for filling the vacant seat. This meeting is not about appointing anyone to the seat based on personal preference or nepotism. Currently, there is no established process in place, which is why this meeting is crucial for discussing and establishing a transparent procedure. Lastly, I assure you and the audience that this city charter is not being violated and the council is not breaking any precedents. Thank you. Next, I'd like to read an introduction memo that I've addressed to City Council. This is just kind of a framework to lead you into your discussion.
Pardon me, Clerk.
Yes.
Is this meeting on TV?
I don't know. It's being recorded. It is being recorded, so.
So
it
it'll
might
be shown?
Yes.
All right, okay.
I'm
Thank you.
sorry, yeah, it should be. Thank you. So it is being publicized on televised rather. So the city clerk's office has received 7 letters from residents interested in filling the vacant city council seat left by the passing of Councilwoman Virginia Williams. This presents a vital opportunity for the council to select a qualified leader who will effectively represent Romulus's needs and interests. According to the City Charter, Chapter 4, Section 4.5, the council must fill this vacancy within 45 days by a majority vote unless otherwise specified. The deadline is January 29th, 2025. Although the charter outlines a specific time frame for appointing a replacement, it does not specify the method for making such appointments. It is quite unprecedented to experience a third replacement within a single four-year term. In light of this, it would be beneficial for the City Council to consider establishing a transparent and inclusive process for filling any future vacancies. This approach would help ensure that the values and interests of our residents are thoughtfully represented. To ensure a thoughtful approach and for the purpose of discussion, this is only for the purpose of discussion, please consider the following strategies and/or methods. Number one, letters of interest or applications. The suggestion number one is to establish a time frame for residents to submit letters of interest or applications, ensuring we tap into community engagement. Letters of interest allow candidates to use their own words detailing why they should be selected to fill a vacancy and the value that they bring to both the council and residents. Creating a formal application develops a standard that will clarify and streamline the process for interested candidates. Suggestion number two, candidate interviews and scoring system. A suggestion would be for the Executive Advisory Board to conduct interviews and recommend the top two candidates to the council for final selection. Suggestion three, the council would directly interview all candidates in an open meeting and make the final selection at the January 27th regular meeting.
Yeah.
And number three, select the next candidate from the November 2021 ballot. These are merely suggestions for discussion for the council to facilitate a selection process that serves and unites our community. Thank you, and I yield back to the chair.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. At this time, I'd like to yield the floor to Councilman Wadsworth.
Thank you, John. First of all, I like everything that the clerk put here. I like the idea that we're giving all the residents of this town a chance to fill the vacancy. The only part I disagree with, I don't think we have to do interviews. I think the council should each get a copy of these people that want to serve, and at the January, is it 27th?
Yes.
Council meeting, that we get a ballot up here, we check off the name, we give it to the clerk, and she reads the ballots out loud, and the person that gets the most votes wins. If for some reason there's 6 votes and it's 3-3, well, then we keep voting until we came up with a winner. I think that's simplest way to do it.
And may I add, this is, again, what we did was just package what has come to the clerk's office, and it's your decision, however you all want to do it.
That's my
Yeah,
opinion.
that's just,
That's my
all we
opinion.
did was just kind of, again, package it, present it to you. Unfortunately, when filling the late Councilwoman Webb's seat, there were letters of interest, but you didn't get to see that, and we didn't get an opportunity to present it to you.
Right.
So as these letters have come in, and I feel that it's, it's very important that you know as a body who's interested in filling this seat. It's your responsibility to appoint that person, so you need to know who's interested. So we wanted to do it differently so that make sure that you knew who has expressed
And if I could
interest.
continue, everyone here that has put a letter in, I know them personally, and they're all good people. So there's no, we don't have to sit in face to face with them and ask questions, because I think we know, who they are. I think that you would have to establish a cutoff date for who wants to turn in a letter.
That's what you all
Well,
could do. Yeah, and we'll
It would
follow
be up to,
suit, yeah.
it would be up to the clerk with the cutoff date, because you know how much time you need to do whatever you have to do. But I think that we should get these letters given to us at least 5 or 6 days before the next council meeting. And at the council meeting, we should be given a ballot. We can, you know, check off the person that we want. We can put them there. You can pick them up, to take the vote. I think that's the simplest and the fairest way to do it.
Through the chair.
It's totally up to you all.
Okay, I'm done, John.
Yeah, I like.
Ms. Abdo, through the chair, go ahead.
Do we have the time to actually take, for our next council meeting, it's Monday, right?
Yeah, but she's talking the council meeting after that.
You're talking the council meeting.
27th of January.
Right.
Or we could hold a meeting on the 29th, I guess. I don't know.
That is probably one of the easiest ways to do that.
Simple and
And it
easy.
would also, I know we have set a precedence of doing the next in line.
But
And if you feel that way,
precedents don't
if you feel that way, you can
oversee
vote
the
that way. I know
charter.
that.
Come on,
I
y'all
know
keep it in
that.
order now.
I know that, Bill. So it's probably a good idea. Can't believe I'm saying that to you, Wadsworth.
That's good.
Through the chair.
Ms. Roscoe?
Looking at the calendar, if we figure out what dates we need, because the 27th is our
Council.
last meeting of the month. And then like Kathy said, if we set up a special meeting on the 29th or something to that effect. But I would like to see the applications in by the 20th, so you can get them to us, you know, a week in advance before we have that meeting on the 29th, if we, that's how we set it up, if we're not gonna do it on the 27th, on that last council meeting. I think that would give everybody time that if we do have questions of any of the applicants, that we have time to seek them out and ask them, you know, personally or through, through whatever avenue we figure out how to ask people questions if we have it. But just looking at the calendar, because today is the 7th, that still gives them almost 2 weeks to get their applications in. And it's out there. I mean, all of these letters are submitted before the first of the year.
Not all
I
of
mean,
them,
not
but
all of
yeah,
them.
yeah.
Just about all of them. You know, a lot of them are, and a lot of them are right after the holiday. You know, because the city was closed for 2 days. So, I mean, they're not wasting any time.
Yeah.
I just think it's important if we're gonna do, if we're gonna accept letters, that we set a date tonight as to when we want them in.
I think the city
Is,
attorney.
Counsel?
I just have one correction there. You can use ballots to narrow it down, but you have to vote and publicly say who you're voting for. You can't have secret ballots that aren't public. So you can have a list of candidates and say what your preferences are. You can turn them into the clerk. The clerk could announce that this person got 3 votes, this person got 4 votes, whatever it is, but to actually decide it, you're gonna have to vote.
Where does it say that?
That's Open Meetings Act, you have to, public has a right to know how you're voting on various subjects.
Through the chair. Wouldn't they know through your ballot, though, that we wouldn't have to go through a roll call?
I didn't hear that the ballots were gonna have names on them.
Yeah, well, the ballots would be public information. We wouldn't have to go through a roll call vote.
Well, are you saying that the ballot that you turn in will have the
Yeah.
council person's name on the top of it?
Sure. No, we wouldn't have to go through the roll call.
Let me, I
Well,
wanna
let's
bring
get some
something
order.
up here. When we meet in the advisory board,
You're
we
less
take a
than-
vote on people.
You're
We
less
come
than-
out here and we nominate that person. We don't say if it was 3-0 or
Well, they
2-1.
vote, but you then vote on that person. So, in an open meeting, you have to vote, and each person that votes has to vote publicly.
So
So
we-
you could have a
Sorry.
advisory committee that made a recommendation to the council of all the candidates, if you wanted to do that, was one of the suggestions. But you're still gonna have to all then vote either to accept or reject the recommendation of the advisory committee.
We're not gonna have an advisory committee here.
That was one example.
Okay, all right, all right.
And
I think Ms. Abdo had did you want anything to add, Ms. Abdo?
Okay, well, if we're doing it by ballot, you still don't have to go through, because I looked that up and checked with a lawyer too. Yes, our votes are public information, but she can announce who won, and the ballots are
Right.
available to the public. We don't have to go through a roll call vote.
Madam Clerk,
the charter does say by majority vote. The charter says that you have to, that by, if I'm corrected, by majority vote. So you do have to vote. It's not by ballot. You have to, you're gonna have to do roll call vote. You're gonna have to do a even if you do the secret ballot and we have the top, you're still gonna have to make that motion and a roll call vote, and whoever that person is that you're going to appoint.
yeah, wouldn't it be simple, like, if you go through the process and the candidate is selected, I don't see a problem in saying yes, 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 or no, no, no. I don't see a problem with that, because the candidate already been selected.
Well, I think what Bill was talking about is that he didn't think we needed to go through a roll call vote on every letter that was cut.
That's what you meant, Bill?
No.
No,
Well, that's what I'm
mean that.
saying. We don't have to go through a roll call vote on every applicant.
No.
Yes, for the final one we choose, we will
Right.
have to
I
go
mean,
through.
once the candidate is
Yeah.
I
picked,
agree.
we just say yes, because it's already been picked. You don't have to go through all this. This has been selected, this candidate's been selected, roll call vote, yes and nay. And that's it.
Okay.
Ball game over.
Yeah, you can do that if you want her.
That's what I'm
If
saying.
you want her on paper to turn it all in, and then she says, okay, so-and-so got 4 votes. And then if you have a roll call vote, and you need to say, yes, I vote for that person.
I agree. We're talking the same thing now.
Right.
But when I heard him first time, I didn't hear that there was
Madam
going to be any identity to that.
Okay, Madam Clerk.
I just want to read Section 6.9 Rules of Council from the city charter. The vote upon the passage of all motions and all ordinances upon the adoption of all resolutions shall be taken by roll call vote and a record of such vote entered in the record. So that's the charter. So I just want to bring that up, just put that on the table, so.
Ms. Roscoe?
So if I understand what Kathy and Bill are saying, is if we turn in our papers, who we're voting for, and then you say, this person has got the most votes, then we vote on whether to accept that or reject that.
Right.
If that's what you all want
Right.
to do,
Well, I
I'm
know,
good.
but
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
saying, what I'm
That's what we
saying,
want.
when you say we have to vote on it, then we can
Right,
vote
that's
on
what I mean,
that
that roll
person.
call vote, whoever that individual is,
Right,
then
Okay, we're talking
to
the
make
same
it
thing,
official.
just
Okay,
different
maybe it's
language.
Then we
semantics.
vote on that.
right. We're on the same page, we're just talking a different
Okay.
language.
Yeah.
Same
Wanted to
page.
make sure I
So
understood that.
we're gonna turn our vote into
The clerk.
John,
John, or-
and who has the most, he's gonna,
No, it could be to the clerk's office,
Clerk's office.
clerk's office, not me.
okay. And then you will
And
tell
then
us
she'll
who
just
had the most
tabulate,
votes.
and then we'll make a decision. Yeah, you won't turn them into me, no.
At a meeting or
Oh, yes.
it would have to be at
Prior to the
an
It's
open
In the
meeting,
meeting, yes.
the regular meeting or a special meeting.
You could do it at either one.
Let's do a regular meeting.
Totally up to you all.
Regular
You
meeting.
guys
I
tell
mean,
me
why
and
have a
we'll
special?
go with it, whatever
Unless you
you
have questions.
decide.
So we're talking the 27th then? I'm trying to get this, my calendar in
How
front of
about a regular meeting? I mean, why would you need a special meeting and you just do it a regular meeting and if the person already picked, just vote on it, let's move forward. Mayor?
Thank you. Through the chair, just one more thing I want to make sure that we address is, God forbid we're in this situation again, so we have to establish that policy. So there needs to be a resolution from council that says, in the event that this happens, you know, you're going to have a period of time that council decides to accept applications for that position, 5 days, 10 days, whatever that's going to be. And at the next council meeting, or before that 45 days is up, you know, council will make their selection. So I just want to make sure that we're looking at both of them, so you have the position to fill now, but also establish that policy, so like I said, God forbid, we're not in this situation again in any time that I'm in office, so,
Right,
thank you.
thank you. So where we stand now, do we need a resolution, clerk, to establish for the next selection of procedures, what we're gonna do next?
Right, you will have to come to an agreement on what you want to do, you know, of how you want to go through the selection process. And again, as the mayor stated, you know, not just for right now, not think, you know, we have to think about future, God, again, as he stated, God forbid this ever happens again. But we're talking about 3 seats in a single term, in a year's time. So we want to make sure that the process, again, is transparent, it's efficient, and it also gives the opportunity for those who have submitted, taken the time to submit a letter of interest to fill the seat, that we're, you know, doing what's in the best interest of our public, of our residents. So just keep that in mind with this process. If this is the process you want moving forward, then that's kind of how the resolution is going to have to read. So.
To the chair,
Yes, Mayor?
just a suggestion, if council can decide what those dates and perimeters would be, how you want to run that process, in order to clarify, we can have legal counsel take that information, draft it into a document, and then if council's comfortable, pass that resolution at the next council meeting.
Okay.
But we just need to have direction from council on what those parameters would be for that process before we have them draft that up.
Okay.
And also I want to add, are you satisfied with just a letter of interest, or do you want an application? Because that means we'd have to create an application in order, and put that online in order for them to, those interested to complete that application, or is a letter of interest sufficient? So
Me
that's the
personally, a
very decide.
letter of interest that we can read.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with you,
I
Bill.
agree.
Yeah, I agree with the letter of interest,
agree.
because they will state their qualifications
Right,
in the letter.
interest, yeah. I agree with that, Madam Clerk.
I do too.
Let's back up to how we're going to vote. Are we going to put names out, starting, and go name by name, or how are we going to do this?
Well,
Because if the first or second name get it, then the ones behind don't get voted on.
no, if it's a ballot,
Right.
I mean, I don't know, if it's a ballot, all of the names would be listed,
Right.
and you would just.
And the one get the
You
most
just vote
votes.
for the one you want.
You would just
Right.
select that person, the names. I mean, that's what the ballot would consist of the names of those individuals who have submitted their letters of interest. That would be your ballot. Their names would appear on that ballot, and you all will vote accordingly, your selection.
Right. Right.
But at what point do we vote? Then we'll vote on the one that has the most.
Right, the one that comes in first, you can either accept or
And he has
reject.
to be voted on, or she has to be voted on.
Right. Mayor?
And just trying to clarify it up, I think what I'm picturing happening, and this is a council action, you'd have a ballot with all the interested applicants on there. Council casts your votes for the person that you want, the candidate you want to see in that position. They pass it down to the clerk. The clerk reads, you know, this person had the most votes. Council would pass a resolution to appoint that person to that council seat, and then council votes to approve the resolution.
Right.
You do a roll call vote for it, and if it doesn't get 4
Right.
votes, you gotta go to,
Right, and
Plan B.
if you don't like that candidate,
Plan
you
B
go
would
to the
be-
next one. You know, if you don't like that candidate, you go to the next one,
Okay.
all right? Madam
Second,
Clerk?
Secondly, on the letter of interest, are there any criteria or any information that you would want? I mean, a person can just say, I'm interested in the vacant position. Okay,
They
but
must be a resident for 2 years.
there's some criteria that
Yeah.
you would want included on those letters of interest that you want to know about that individual. I'm
Do they
sure
have to
small-
be a registered voter?
They have to be a
Yes.
registered
Oh, that's
voter.
two criteria, okay.
Yep. Have to be a registered voter. They have to be a resident, have in Romulus for at least a year,
1 year.
1 year.
1 year.
okay.
Yes.
Just to clarify, the charter said 2 originally, but there was a court case way back years and years ago that said that that was too long, you couldn't demand 2 years, but there's one where 1 year was upheld, so everybody uses 1 year as the rule now.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Is there anything else
Any other
specific, the
questions from
criteria?
council? Nothing else from council?
Okay. I think the mayor had mentioned we need dates again. I think Councilwoman Roski, you were talking about dates. Which dates for the cutoff? Because we still have to publish this. We've got to put it on the website so people will know, or those that are watching, how do we get the word out? If for those, or are we just going to consider the 7 that have already shown interest, or are we going to open it up?
Through the chair.
And again, through the chair, that's something that's gonna have to be delicate too, that council needs to think about. So if there's a vacancy, that means there's been a tragedy. We've all had a loss, right? So there needs to be a time period that's respectful. And then you start a timeline, so, 7 days or 10 days after the site's been vacated, the seat's been vacated, before you guys can start. I mean, it's a touchy situation, very personal situation, but at the end of the day, business has to be conducted, so we have to move forward. So council's gotta think about that, at what date do you start taking in letters of interest? And how long does that period go? Just something for you guys to think about.
Ms. Abdo, you had something to say?
Yes, this could be announced at Monday's meeting also.
Okay.
That would probably be the best way to communicate at the meeting, and I don't have a calendar in front of me, we could figure out from there.
Okay.
Is that all right?
Ms. Roscoe?
When we're talking about timeframes, and like the mayor said, it's a very delicate situation, but we only have 45 days. So my opinion would be, on that 15th day, people by then know, they know we're going to have this process that's going to have to happen. I would accept applications from the 15th day, the 25th day, and then that gives us time after that to, or something in that time frame. And you accept applications for about 10 days?
Well,
And,
yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I would say, I think I heard you mention earlier, like the 20th, that
oh,
Monday.
for right now?
Yep, in
you know.
order for them to,
I thought you meant
For
as
future.
far as setting precedents
oh,
for
okay, yeah,
going
that's one
forward.
thing too, but I meant for this.
But yeah, I think the 20th is, that's almost 2 weeks, and then that gives you a couple days to get those letters to us, and gives us time to review them, especially if we're gonna do it on the council meeting on the 27th, then we have to have the
Prepare
letters
the
in by the
packet.
20th, so we have them a week ahead of time, we have them on Tuesday-ish.
Yeah, we
Whether you
just have to have
email them
time
to us,
prepare.
or whether we pick them a copy up.
Okay. Agree with you.
That gives us almost a week and a weekend,
Oh, 20th is Martin Luther King.
if we have questions or anything to that effect.
Any other comments from council?
The 20th is Martin Luther King Day, so
Oh, that's right.
Oh, we're closed that day.
you might want to say the
21st.
21st.
The 21st,
Thank you
I'm
for
sorry.
It's
It
okay.
doesn't give me my holidays on this little calendar here. Then I have a question.
Yes, Ms. Roscoe?
So then do we want to have a special meeting before our meeting and then vote on it during our meeting? I mean, that way that part of it's done, you have time to put that all together, and then we vote on it during our meeting?
Are you talking about on the 27th?
Yes.
We already, we already have a special meeting on that day. It might
Okay.
have to be earlier. I mean, we have to see what
Okay.
time is
Just a
available.
suggestion.
Yeah. No, it's okay. I mean, it's totally up to you all, whatever you decide. The one point, in that letter of interest, what do you want in that letter? I mean, they have to be a registered voter, residency, but what do you want to see in that letter of interest? Why they want to become a council member? You want them to list their community involvement, or what do you want in that letter, so we're clear?
John, I have a comment.
Yes, Ms. Roscoe?
Through the chair. My opinion is you ask them for a letter of intent. And most people that are very serious about this position is going to say, hey, I am interested, and this is the reasons why, and these are the things that I have been involved with. I mean, they're going to put on there why they want to be here. I don't think, I mean, they may not, but it gives you the knowledge of how serious they are about this position. I mean, somebody that's just going to write a letter and say, oh, by the way, I'm interested. They're going to expound on why they're interested. I mean, just my opinion. I mean, you can say, give us a reason why you're interested. But I mean, I don't think you need to list, because then you're talking about having an application. If you say, list this, list this, list this. Now we're getting into building an application.
Exactly.
Through the chair.
Yes.
I agree with Celeste. Letter of intent. What they do in that letter of intent is up to them.
Yeah.
That way.
Okay, last
Name and
question.
address.
No,
Agreed.
right, no, it's
Agreed.
okay. It's totally up to you. Lastly, the letters that we've already received. Again, we've received letters of interest and intent, and some of them have really, they've gone into, what they're involved in and why. Will they have to submit another one, or will you accept these letters, the letters that have already been submitted?
I suggest we accept these and any more we get.
Okay.
I agree with these, and no problem.
Okay.
I agree.
Agreed. Any other questions, comments, discussion, council?
To the chair.
Yes, Mayor?
Just one more comment for council to consider. I know before, when there was an application process that we tried to do, there was a lot of pushback on the thought of having even a real precursory background check done on somebody that we could do through PD. I strongly recommend that council do that, because this is a selection of this body. You are appointing this person, and if we ever get put in a situation where you appointed somebody who had warrants for their arrest or some other things, we should at least have the ability to go through a small background check so council would know if there was issues there. Not the full background check we do for a city employee, but I think we should at least look into doing that. Again, it's up to council to decide, but again, you could run yourself into a situation where you put somebody in a seat and it was your selection and approved by city council that could have open warrants or some other issues that ran afoul of the law. So again, that's just a suggestion for council.
Council, y'all have any discussion on that topic?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo?
What is the timeline? Can we work that within our timeline? I do agree that we should do that. As long as we can,
Yeah, we could have PD run it and definitely make it a priority, but again, it's just something for council to include in the policy or the procedure moving forward, so.
Yeah. Council agree with that?
I have a question.
You wouldn't,
Yeah,
you,
go ahead.
I have a question about that. So when people run, and I know this isn't a campaign or anything like that, and people run for a seat, when we run, we do our campaign, there's no background checks, is it or is it not? I'm just trying to be clear on the process.
I don't believe that there is.
Okay.
The difference that I see, and again, this is council decision, but the difference I see is this is a selection by you, not a selection by the people. This is a selection by city
So
council.
what's the difference between a selection by the people and a selection by the council? Because if the people are putting people on the council, I guess I'm trying to figure, and I'm just asking a question because I just want clarity. What's the difference? To me, it would mean if the people are electing a person up here for city council, and they didn't, and something was in their background, what would be the the repercussion there? I'm just trying to understand. I hear what you're saying about the appointment and the election, but I'm still trying to understand the process for the background check, I guess.
No, it's a great conversation, that's what I wanted to
Yeah.
bring it up. But for me personally, if I was putting my seal of approval and I said I wanted Tina Taylor to go in this seat, you were gonna get my vote, I would wanna know at some level that there was a background check done on you, and that's just my personal preference.
Okay.
That's the way I look at it now. Now, if the people voted you in and you had that, that's different, but if you're gonna have my approval, I would wanna at least have some level of knowledge that, there wasn't any nefarious activity, that you were, working outside the normal aspects of the law. But
I hear
again,
what
that's just
you-
conversation.
It is, it's just kind of,
I think.
yeah, it is.
Mayor,
Chairman, I think
Council.
one way to look at it is, when somebody pulls a petition and runs, they're getting vetted by the public, in a sense, because the public's got quite a bit of time to figure out what they're about if they don't know them, and they could go out and do their own vetting.
Some people do,
This
some people
time, you're
don't.
gonna get these dropped on your lap less than 1 week before you have to vote on it. So your opportunity to vet those is not the same as you would have in a general election. So that's, I think, one reason why you would get some vetting done for you.
Again, I want to reiterate, it's just a suggestion for
No, I
council,
get
we
you.
could do that and run it through PD fairly quickly if you'd like us to. Again, it's up to city council, just a suggestion on my end.
No, I need clarity of what the process. Yeah, I just need to be clear.
Ms. Roscoe?
Through the chair. And I understand where Tina's coming from. We want to be fair across the board when it comes to all those things. But we will have a short time frame to look into that. And when you're running for a position, usually anything that is in your closet somewhere comes to the surface beforehand. You don't have to worry about everyone trying to do their homework, because someone out there is going to do your homework for you. You know what I mean? I mean, that's just the creature of politics anymore.
Yeah.
And unfortunately. But I kind of agree with that, only because, I mean, like, everyone that's put their applications here, we know them. We pretty well are real familiar with them. But if someone showed up out of the blue that nobody knew, I mean, anybody around, I mean, because we have a lot of residents that nobody knows, then it just kind of gives you a little bit of peace of mind. And, but it would be fair across the board, because you wouldn't be doing it for one stranger, you'd be doing it for everyone. But in that case, we probably wouldn't be choosing that person if we didn't have any clue who they were.
And two, again, it's been stated that, you all are elected by the public at large, and if there was something, definitely, you're being vetted by the public. This is like hiring someone, I mean, if anyone that's appointed or hired, to work for the city, you've got to go through a background check. And because, again, it's basically you're appointing and hiring a person to fill an elected spot. So just making sure that that person is properly vetted, I just think it covers you, it protects you, and then we know who is going to sit, in that seat. Because anything can happen, life happens, and so you just want to be sure the person that you're appointing to fill that role, that, is the appropriate person.
John,
Mr. Wadsworth?
I have got two questions to the mayor and one to the attorney. Number one, I'd have no problem finding out if they'd done something serious, but I don't want to get a list of parking tickets they had, or trespassing, or,
No.
things like that. If something is a felony, that's a different story. And Steve, we're not violating anybody's rights by running them on lien looking for something wrong, are we?
What, we're only gonna do what we publicly can do, yeah, so no.
Okay.
And my thought would be that you're not gonna get a list of everything showed up. you're only gonna get notice if there's somebody that's a problem and what that problem
Okay,
is.
fine.
Yeah, we do a much deeper drill for anybody that we hire for the city. It won't be that level of a drill down into the past.
Any other
I'm done.
discussion from council? Any discussion from council?
Just one other thing, if I can,
Madam
just a
Clerk?
thought, and City Attorney, maybe you can clear this up. What if there was someone that maybe they served previously in another elected office previously, and they or ran for public office, and then they applied and wanted to fill the seat, and they were appointed? What if they had an outstanding campaign finance issue? I know that if a person wants to run now, that they can't have any outstanding campaign finance issues pending. They wouldn't be eligible, but let's just say a person that was appointed and that there were campaign finance issues pending. Would that be an issue of concern, or would that be a concern? I don't know legally.
I don't think that that would be a disqualifying factor unless the council wants to make it a disqualifying factor.
It's just
Yeah.
thought, because that's something we have to be very aware of.
Yeah, the state law says if you can't run if you're delinquent in campaign reporting requirements from previous elections. But it also allows you to correct those by filing all those before you do your petition for the new office, so.
Any other discussion? Any other comment? Madam Clerk?
Okay, so in conclusion, the city attorney will draft up a resolution for council to vote on Monday. Is that correct? On
Yes.
the procedure, and including that timeline, that deadline date, of accepting letters of interest by January the 20th, is that correct?
21st.
21st, I keep, got 20th on the brain, I'm sorry, the
You got a thing.
21st. And this week, their selection will be by ballot of everyone who submitted their letters of interest. And then you all will, on the 27th, vote by ballot on the candidate of your choice. The candidate receiving the most votes will be announced by me, the clerk, and then you all will have a roll call vote if that candidate is selected or accepted by all. Is that correct? Does that kind of sum it up? I just want to make sure I'm clear.
The word "all" bothered me because you only had to have 4 votes to pass
Majority
it.
vote.
Okay,
So it's only majority.
majority vote, I'm sorry. Just trying to sum it up to make sure so that when the attorney
So,
addressed it.
if I can to the attorney, the vote could be 2-1-1-1, and the one with 2 votes would win?
No.
Majority of 4?
You gotta-
Four
you-
votes?
You gotta, somebody's gotta get 4 votes, the
You do it.
candidate.
Easier said than done.
Yeah, I mean, with 6, it could be 2 people voted for one person, 2 people vote for a different one, and 2 people voted for a different person. That's gonna have to be announced by her, and you're gonna have to figure out what you're gonna do the second stage. Now, I guess you could, not to complicate it more, but you could list your first 3 choices. Let's say we got 7 people on the list, then my number 1, my number 2, my number 3, so that it gives you, in case you don't get 4 votes for the number 1 person, that really means somebody's going to have to put them down for number 1 and doesn't vote for them. But that could happen.
But according to the charter, it says a majority vote.
Yeah, it's not, it's a majority vote of the members.
Through the chair, just another suggestion on this one, you could implement a scoring system where if you have 7 candidates, each council has a ballot, and you score them. Number one would be your candidate you most want, number 7 being the one you think is less qualified. And once those are tallied up by the clerk, whoever has the lowest amount of points would, receive the nomination, and then council would vote on that. Just as another suggestion, this is a council decision.
Lois?
Okay?
Better bring a calculator.
Pardon?
Said, you better bring a calculator.
Yeah, I got it.
Well, we didn't say we wanted that.
Yeah, I know.
I don't want that.
Any
I
other-
mean, if you look at all the ballots and there are, nobody got more than 3 votes, then you're gonna have to announce that the highest vote getter got 3 votes. And then you can run the ballot on it, and see if somebody who didn't vote for him will now vote for that person because enough of your other members were voting for him.
Ms. Roscoe?
So what I'm understanding is if we do this by ballot, we turn the ballots in, we don't have to have 4 votes for someone, for that person to come in front of us to vote. But
Correct.
when we vote
You're gonna-
openly here, we have to have 4 votes, of
Correct.
course.
Right.
So we don't have to have a majority vote or a majority pick on the ballot.
That's correct. She's just gonna
So
announce
if they
to
get-
you what the
Who got
results
the most
were,
votes? Who got the
what
most
those
votes?
results were. And
That makes sense.
it'll be a difficult problem when the results are, everybody got 2 votes, or 2 votes. Nobody got more than 2 votes. Then it's a problem.
Okay. Any other discussion? Any other comments from council, discussion from council?
So,
Anybody? Good?
okay, just so I'm clear, I apologize, just
Okay.
want to make sure we're clear for
Yeah.
for minutes. So you're opposed to the scoring? Like you have your ballot and you just score them out and we just add up who has the most points? It's the same as voting, but you just
Right.
score them out? Is that? 'Cause what
And
do you-
the only reason I suggested that is it takes away the possibility of having a 2-1-1-1-1 vote. Now you have the average scores of each candidate that's out there. That's the only reason I suggested that.
No, I'm opposed to that.
And what if you have
ballot.
10 letters, 12 letters, 20 letters, What do you do? I'll have my calculator. So,
Yeah. I think that gets too
Through the chair.
through the chair. Thank you for reminding me. I just think we should vote for the person we want and leave it at that. I don't think ranking it like that is, and we'll see how that goes.
try.
Future?
There's probably 6 people
What?
here that got 6 different opinions. I don't know how we're gonna get 4
Yeah.
votes. I have no
We
idea.
do it all the time.
Okay, wait a minute. Ms. Roscoe, through the chair, Ms. Roscoe.
We could do it like we talked about in the beginning, and if that does not work, then we can use the backup plan,
Which is the scoring?
which
that
is the
backup
scoring.
plan?
I mean, we could use that as a backup if the other, the first way does not work.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what the answer is there.
I think you'll find that, for example, if one of you voted somebody number 1 and nobody else did, while that's the candidate you prefer, that candidate isn't going to win, right? So you got to decide, okay, do I vote with my fellow board and council members who voted, 3 of you or whatever, for that person? That's going to change a lot of votes of who you want when you determine from this ballot that your candidate isn't being picked by anyone else or only one other person. So you get an idea that maybe I need to rethink my position because we got to have 4 votes.
Let me ask you one more question. If the vote would be 3-2 and somebody abstained, would that be a
You
winning?
can't
you-
abstain.
you can't abstain.
Abstain is a no
I
vote.
mean,
I learned that.
I don't know how you have I mean, I suppose if one of them was,
I'm trying to get someone elected here.
You can't abstain, I learned that the hard way.
Right.
yeah, You,
Well, if it's a tie, you just, if it's 2-2, you redo it and vote again.
yeah,
You know, it's simple, really. If it's a tie, y'all just throw it back in, and you gotta make a choice.
common sense.
Yeah, I mean, common sense. Any other discussion?
Yeah, I'm with you, Mr. Barton. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't want us going down no rabbit hole on this thing. I mean,
Right.
let's just keep it as simple as possible
Right.
and keep it moving. I mean, I'm here, the session is discussion, but let's just keep this thing simple. We don't have to go down, chase through all these weeds to figure this out.
Right.
It's not that difficult.
Right. The tie, throw him back in the pot
We'll do it.
and vote again.
That's right.
Simple. My wife did the same thing to me. She said, "You cooking this?" And the other kid said, "No," and threw it back in the pot. She won. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? All right, clerk, quit laughing at me now. Any other discussion or comments?
Through the chair. So on Monday at the council meeting, during your report, you'll announce then that we are taking applications or letters of interest?
Well, it'll be,
You have to vote first. You have to
Vote,
vote
yeah.
on the process. You'll
Right.
vote on the process. The city attorney will have a resolution drafted up.
Okay.
You first have to vote to establish this process.
Just so we get the communication
Yeah,
out to the public,
yeah.
that's all I'm interested in.
Once you vote,
Thanks.
and then that's the next step. Then we'll make the announcement to the public.
Thanks.
Yeah.
thank you, Ms. Adams. Any other discussion? Mayor?
So I know we're talking about the 21st on this and then making the motion on the 27th, but in the event that this happens in the future and how we have to discuss that, I know Councilwoman Roscoe brought up possibly the 15th day after a vacancy, because we're talking about draft a policy for the future, so I want to make sure that legal counsel has the information council wants us to incorporate that, so they can bring you a document at the next meeting too for you to look at and establish a process moving forward. So if there's any guidance or things that you guys want to add now that we can have them add, please do so.
Can
Through
we
the
make
chair.
it a ordinance for the future, where, you know, we make an ordinance for how to replace somebody?
You could, but it requires 5 votes.
We have 5 votes like that. I don't think that'd be difficult. I mean, everybody wants a procedure. You know?
But you could do it by resolution, too. and then we'll-
Yeah, but then if you get 5 votes, it becomes an ordinance.
Yes. You could
Okay.
as an ordinance.
All right.
Through the chair?
Yes,
Can we just get through this first before we do
Right.
that? I don't want to confuse the two. Let's just get through filling this vacancy, and then the new person will also have
Right.
input. And then we can draw up a plan. I think we're jumping the gun.
Oh, okay. So you want, eventually you want 2 different resolutions. One for this vacancy, and then one that'll apply going forward in the future.
Yeah, well, let's wait till we have a council person here, so that person
Yeah.
can be involved too.
Okay.
Madam Clerk?
Keep in mind, on an ordinance, you gotta have 2 readings, so that just throwing that out there. You just have, you know, if this is what you want to do moving forward, you're gonna have to have 2 readings on
That's-
that ordinance.
Yeah, so that would force you to have a special meeting. If you're going to have 2, if you do it as an ordinance, well, if we do the long-term one as an ordinance, that won't be a problem. If you wanted to have the policy for this vacancy as an ordinance, you'd have to have 2 readings.
No.
And in order to get that done by the deadline, you're going to have a meeting on the 29th, 2 days later.
No,
So
I don't
you-
think anybody's.
So you would want to just do it as a resolution, I would think, for this
Yeah.
first
I don't think
filling here.
I don't think anybody's talking about doing an ordinance for this one. I think like Ms. Talley said, we just want to move forward and do it as less complicated as possible, right?
Keep it simple. Okay, any other discussion, Ms. Roscoe?
One last comment, and I agree, we need to get through this and then do the other, but we need to make sure we have that set up and get it done. Because who knew that this was gonna, I mean, you know, we've been talking about doing this for a while and trying to fit it into, you know, the schedules and what have you. And, I mean, never in our wildest dreams did we think that this would happen. Never. And so we definitely don't want to drag our feet on this at all. We want to get it done.
Yeah, let's get this done first.
Y'all sit on that, Madam Clerk? You good?
I'm good. If you guys are good, I'm good.
Council, you good?
I'm good.
Mayor? Council? Yeah? Okay,
Good, yeah.
thank you.
We're good.
Are we, let's see, so we're done with discussion. So number 4 was if we're advised to go ahead and just put it on the agenda, but we're not going to establish a procedure. You're not going to vote on an established procedure tonight. That's going to take place on Monday at the January 13th council meeting. So we'll move on to number 5, public comment. And this is the portion of the agenda for those who are in the audience and who would like to address city council regarding tonight's special meeting agenda. To address the city council, raise your hand, and after being acknowledged by the chairperson, approach the podium and state your name. You will have 3 minutes to speak. At any additional time will be upon the consent of the chairperson. Note that those who submitted a request to speak public comment card will be called upon first. Mr. Chair, we do have one written request. That's David Hotz.
Okay.
Good evening, council, mayor, residents of Romulus. My name is David Holtz, and I'm here as a concerned resident. And with the previous process to deal with a vacant seat, I would be considered the next in line candidate off that previous process. But first, I want to acknowledge the dedicated service of Virginia Williams and extend my condolences to her family and her loved ones. Her passing is an enormous loss for the community and everyone she touched. That being said, I must address the decision to bypass the previous precedent and process that we used to fill these vacant seats. We just did 2 of those in one term and one really within the last month. So if the system is still providing quality candidates, the question comes down to, why are we trying to fix it? If it's not broken, why are we trying to fix it? And the other major concern is once you get into member elected officials saying, hey, we only need 2 or 3 of us to say, hey, we have a friend of ours that we would like to be in this position, and we have to vote for them, and they get elected that way. That, in a weird way, is a form of nepotism. So we do have to have a question of, is that a fair process? The previous process was put in place because it was fair, democratic, and respected the former outcome of prior elections. A lot of the people who actually ran in that race, we spent money, time, knocked doors. We took the courage to put ourselves out there. And now we're going to reward people who did not have to go through that process at all. So there is real concerns about that transparency and that trust that we're going to now fill a vacant seat through appointment. Keep in mind, there's only a year left in this term. That's it. So whoever's going to be put in that place is going to be thrown into an election year pretty quickly, and the community is going to have an opportunity to approve or disapprove of them next election. So I think it's almost hasty that we're taking this approach right now. And if we take consideration to what Virginia Williams herself would have wanted, I remember when me and her discussed appointments of both Al Wilson and Harry Cruff. And it was plain and simple. It goes to the people's will. We go by next in line for a reason. It is the right thing to do. So I do have to again question, why are we now taking this approach now? We just did this not even a month ago. Why is there suddenly now a big change in the process? And it's not just about filling a vacancy, it's about establishing a system where the elected members can appoint, I'm sorry, go to the wrong spot here. You know, I just want to make sure that we're doing the right thing. And I don't mind competing against other people or having a fair process or putting myself out there again. I just want to make sure we're doing the right thing by the people.
Yeah, thank you.
That was the only written request.
Any other comments from the audience? Yes,
Good evening, Tony Heinberger. Nothing against David, but I don't think the council members, I get along with some I don't. I don't think they would be asking for their friends and families to come up here and be put on there. I think that they have enough sense, all of you do, is to get somebody, elect somebody that's gonna benefit the city and the residents of our community. That is the main thing that we need to look at. Who is it gonna benefit? And we need it to benefit the residents. And that's what Virginia wanted. The residents first. Thank you.
Any other comments? Yes, Heinberg.
Good evening,
Good evening.
council, clerk, mayor, and everybody in the crowd. I have some issues and some concerns about this. Number one, I don't think that the prior way of filling positions was correct, because if you get down to the bottom line is, there's 7 of you sitting up there, 7 people were voted by the residents, the other ones didn't make it. So I don't think that limiting the ability for the council to fill a position with somebody other than people that ran for the office, I think that if somebody ran for office and they were on the list, they sure have an opportunity to write a letter, and it makes it straight across the board. I think that the letter of interest, one of the things I wrote down was my letter of interest. I submitted a letter of interest. I'm interested in the position. But when I wrote it, I was under the impression that there was a crunch time that we had to have it in. So I'd like to resubmit one later with more information. I think the application form, it's got its pros and cons, but now you're getting into that time factor. I do believe that once you guys decide and the position has been filled, you should take some time to sit down to put this into a program that would be worthy of a charter amendment. That's how strongly I feel about that. Let's see. I know all you guys. I've been a resident of this city my whole life. Some I know better than others, and I kind of feel like the interview process would be beneficial to you if you don't know someone. But I get the fact that there's a time crunch. But this is something that I would look at. And I was unclear on how are you guys going to narrow the field down. I heard a lot of things. Is it like if you have 10 people, you're going to go 1 through 10 and narrow it down? How did you guys decide that you were going to do that? It wasn't decided on?
I'll take a shot at answering that. That was just a suggestion by me, and I don't think council adopted it, but we didn't draft the resolution yet, so. But right now, I think it's just done by ballot voting, right?
Right.
Right. Well, how, I guess my question would be, how would you narrow it down if
By
you're
ballot.
not going to go with, right, you're going to have to come up with a program, that's up to you.
Yeah, we work
So
on
are
that.
you suggesting that it's somewhat of a primary to narrow the field down? Is that what you're?
Yeah, well, I'm just wondering,
You need a little more time? I'll give you a little more time.
oh, you'll give me some more time?
Yes.
My question is, if you have 15 people that want the position and you come in, there's 6 people gonna vote, I get the fact that you have to have the majority, and it says majority of the elected, so you would have to have 4 people. But how are you gonna narrow that down to get it to where it's a manageable number of people?
Yeah.
And that's all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from the audience? Yes, sir.
Hello, council, mayor, clerk. My name is John Smith. I'm one of the pastors here in the area. the pastor of Resilient Nation Church, and I did too, have put my interest in as the city council. I wasn't going to say anything, but I have been raised in this great city all my life. Here in Romulus, lived on Avalon, went to Romulus schools. We have some great schools. Miss Kathy was one of my teachers. Glad to see her. I have great confidence really in the council up here to make a quality decision. I believe that whoever places an interest to run for city, I believe that without having an application, I believe that if a person has an interest in anything, that they will put enough details without having to give a direction of what they need to put in there, that will give enough information that will cause the council to make a quality decision. And I believe that whatever decision that this council makes for this city is going to be a quality decision. I think we have some of the great people that sits on this board, and we have great confidence in them. So again, I like the process of what's taking place, and I'm just looking to see our great city move to the next level. I think it's time that Romulus move to the next level, and I think that it takes great people to make those quality decisions so that we can be not only just looked at as a city that's on the back for it, but I believe that we're coming forward. I believe this is a time that God is really moving our city to the forefront. So I just wanted to kind of just to address the city. We have a great mayor. Thank you, Mayor. You're doing a phenomenal job here in the city. Clerk, you're doing a phenomenal job. To John Barton and to all the council people, again, thank you for this time that you all have allotted me to just share just briefly to the council. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from the audience? Yes, sir.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, Madam Clerk. Todd Baird, just a couple of comments. Obviously, I'd like to thank the council and acknowledge the thought that you're putting into this process. I think that you're acknowledging a problem that could arise in the future, addressing it proactively now under really difficult circumstances that were kind of forced upon us. And I think there's wisdom going forward in having a process in place. For example, it could be a situation where you have 7 council people, there were 7 candidates, nobody was opposed in the future, and this is going to be able to obviate any of that going forward. Obviously, the council is going to use whatever criteria that you deem fit to determine who an appropriate candidate to fill the spot is. And just for the record, I have not submitted a letter. So I'm not up here doing a campaign speech by any respect of the image, by any respect. Obviously, we all have common goals for the city. We want a strong city. We want a great place for our families. We want a great place to raise our kids, and to work, and to live. We're all going to have differences of opinion, and I know you're going to get some submissions of people that you may not agree with. Keep in mind that we didn't always agree with Virginia either, but we were all working and pulling in the same direction. So I appreciate the council doing that going forward. It's a brief appointment for just the balance of the year, but I do know that it's very important to get somebody in that position. There's some very important issues that are going to be voted on soon, that are going to affect the city going forward for years, if not decades going forward, depending on how the city council wants to set things up and proceed for us. So once again, thank you. I think this is a good thing, and I think that you're setting yourself up to avoid any issues with replacements in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from the audience?
John?
Yeah.
I'd like
Mr.
to,
Bosworth.
I'd like to expand on what Mr. Wilhite said. If we only get to 6, it should be not too difficult. But if we do get a list like this, we're going to have to possibly cut it in half and go from there, or, I don't have the answer for that.
It could, well, it could be like, it's either like the mayor said, scoring system, or you could treat it like a primary. In a primary, you whittle it down to the, to the last four. So say, I'm just throwing a number out there, say there were 10, say there were 10 candidates, and then you would just take maybe the top 5 candidates, and then you would vote again. So, you can look at it either way. So you can treat it like a primary ballot if you have too many and not
Okay, all
enough.
right,
Or
fine,
you
all
can
right.
do that, or again, as the mayor have stated, there's, that comes up, there is the option, I know Councilwoman Roscoe said is Plan B, a scoring process as well. So, we can just cross that bridge when we get there,
All
I
right,
guess.
fine.
I don't know
Okay.
what to say,
Ms. Roscoe?
And on that comment of whittling it down, we turn it in, if there's 10 or 15, there's still only, 6 of us right now. So there's only gonna be 6 people voted for. So that's the way you're going to,
Yeah.
and
That's how you-
if we
yeah.
have that many
It
people,
kinda
then we
clears it up
take
a
that
little
bit.
6 and put them back out there.
Yeah.
Right. Yep.
If there's 6 different people,
Sure.
if there's 3 different people,
Sure.
however many there is, and then go from
Go
there.
from there.
That would be the simplest way of eliminating, 10 people or 15 people.
It'd be like a primary, yeah.
Yeah.
So we could do that.
Through the chair, and I think Mr. Barton said that from the
Right.
get-go. He said it from the get-go. This is what we do. We go through the process with the fit, and you will it down, and you go back in and you vote it again. He said that. I don't think we need to keep rehashing it.
Right.
It's
It's
just
just
simple.
simple. It's real
Let's
simple.
keep it moving. Let's keep it moving.
It's simple. Any other comments from the audience? No other comments from the audience, Madam Clerk?
Okay, then, the agenda calls for an adjournment,
So move to adjourn.
and the time
Support.
is 7:43.
Motion by Ms. Roscoe, supported by Ms. Abdo for adjournment. Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Ms. Talley?
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Mr. Kraut?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, we are adjourned. Go Lions!